What is up, wrestling fans and fanboys and fangirls? I am your host, as always, Tony Mango. Joining me, as always, is Robert E. Felice.
Hey, Tony. I am joining you here for DC Comics Presents Survivor Series. And
This is one of those weird Smark Moment Smack Talk podcasts where it is also, if not more, a Fanboys Anonymous thing. But since it's pro wrestling, I want to post it on this channel instead. Plus, it's a channel that's going to get more clicks. So, if you like this kind of stuff, go to Fanboys Anonymous. I'll plug that later on. But if DC presents Survivor Series or WWE presents Survivor Series DC Comics Edition, I don't know what we would call this.
What's the series that they're doing right now?
Knockout?
Yeah, it's a WWE presents Knockout.
And I don't really know exactly how we're going to do this podcast, but it's somewhat of a what if, somewhat of a fantasy booking, somewhat of a matchmaker, somewhat of a, I wouldn't necessarily say like it's not a mock draft. It's not like we're drafting these characters. Although if you would be interested in us doing some kind of like superhero mock draft or something, that could be a Fanboys thing. It is essentially, a fantasy booking card more than anything else, I would say, of what if you apply the Survivor Series 5-on-5 thing and you do, I guess it's also Time Machine Dream Team, come to think of it.
Yeah.
Kind of is. But you apply that to DC Comics characters, and you might be wondering, what the fuck are you talking about DC Comics characters for here on Smark Moment? Well, it's not just because they're great, and, I can geek out more over them than I can about pro wrestling, but it's also because AEW has their tie-in with Full Gear and DC Comics, and here's the issue that came around with that. This idea started off as me being like, oh, you know what I could do? I could do like a fantasy Survivor Series thing, but the version of it with AEW, because we always do the WWE ones. I could do Blood and Guts. And then I was like, wait, that's just Survivor Series. And I'm not going to use the AEW thing anyway. And I'm like, so then I would just name this the Blood and Guts thing. And I'm pretty sure if I have like DC Comics, AEW Blood and Guts, that YouTube is going to think that I'm like trying to say like, here's a bloody Superman and stuff. So I think I'll make it a little bit easier and have the Survivor Series name on, WarGames. Oddly enough, WarGames is like not as much of a problem as Blood and Guts would be. So this is inspired more by AEW than it is WWE, but hey, whatever. Yeah, you do what you're going to do. The concept here is mostly, I was sitting down and I was thinking, okay, you're going to do teams of 5 fight to survive and use that with DC Comics characters. So I'll explain what this all is. And if you are interested in showing your support on different things, then, show your support through the Marketplace things. You can support the Patreon, the Redbubble, the TeePublic, all that stuff for both Fanboys Anonymous and Smark Moment. The more that people are on the Fanboy stuff, the more we can do. For Smark Moment, if you do enjoy these things and stuff, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the notification bell, get all that stuff set up, YouTube channel membership as well. And if you want to just chat it up about these kind of topics, the Discord is a great way to do that, because even though that's the Smark Moment Discord, there's a little section of it that's for fanboys. So hop on over there and have some fun. So let's get into some of these things. Now I'm going to show some stuff on my screen right now, and I'll come back to this because I'm not just going to keep it up on the screen, but Rob can see the full spreadsheet, and I'm going to hide that behind the better graphic because that's just nicer, and we're going to talk about seeing here and there. I'm going to go back and forth between these so you can see them. I've got women's matches, I've got men's matches. As you would expect, the women's matches a lot harder to book. But
yeah, we were saying before we got on here, you were like, there's actually a shocking low number of DC women's characters.
Especially when you start to try to use names that are very like well-known characters. Because let's be honest, if you ask the average person on the street, do you know Batman and Robin, they're going to say yeah. But then if you say, tell me what Robin's name is, average person isn't going to even be able to tell you Dick Grayson. Let alone be like, hey, what do you think about Carrie Kelly? They'd be like, who the fuck are you talking about? Or like, like people know Harley Quinn, but how many people know Enchantress? And she's been in a mainstream movie.
It's really crazy because like you have such a extensive knowledge of all this that like I'll be honest, even me loving this type of stuff, I'm looking at most of these names and I'm like, oh, this is just Tony in his wheelhouse. And I'm just gonna be here along for the ride going, I know that one, I know that one, I know that one, and I know no one on the heel side because I'm not as deep in the trenches there. Like I'll know, like obviously I know who
Yeah,
all
you
of
know
the
some of them,
Robins
obviously.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know all the Robins. I know that pretty easy, but like you can, like I'm seeing here that next to Mr. Mixixplulic, there's a guy named Felix Faust, and I'm like, I don't know if I know that off the top of my head.
Well, what I'm going to do, and this is part of the reason why I'm putting this in the other graphic and not showing the spreadsheet the entire time. What I'm going to do is while I'm explaining these to Rob, I'm going to switch back and forth every once in a while. And also, if he doesn't know who the character is, I'm going to just pop him up on the screen. But the reason why I don't want to share that immediately on here is because you never know what you're going to get with the Google results. So if I type out like Lady Shiva, I don't know if that's going to be some not safe for work thing and it's going to just pop up on the screen. And I don't want to get flagged on YouTube for any kind of like, nudity or something like that. So if there's a picture that shows up and I can click through and whatever, then I'll probably switch it over and everybody can see that, whatever. Once I know that it's safe, once I vet it, then we'll be good. But I didn't plan on like booking the whole, here comes the sirens. It's 10:48 at night, and that sucks that somebody
You
needs
live
a
in the
siren.
city and never sleep, so you're gonna get sirens.
Yeah, well, it sucks that somebody needs a siren. Hopefully they're okay, but it also sucks about the podcast. So I didn't plan on making this a whole, we're going to go through each one and we're going to talk about which person eliminates who and fantasy book the entire thing. So we're going to keep it a little generalized, like which team would win and if there's any particular survivors or something. And we can start almost anywhere, but I figure, we might as well start with some of the big guns. And one of the, things you can just revolve around, who would be the men's team? Who would be the women's team? The more that I thought doing that, I was like, oh, let me break up separate groups and make more of this. We're going to come back and we're going to try to talk about that later. But like, I very quickly went, okay, Superman, Batman, shit, I only have 3 more spots. Let me do a Batman team. Let me do a Superman team. And then that all spiraled. So the House of L, and we're going to go as themed Survivor Series as we can here. The House of L, of course, you got Kal-El, Superman, Con-El, Superboy. Now, when I hear the name Superboy, I think of 2 characters. I think the Superboy that's got the black t-shirt from like Young Justice.
That's what I was thinking.
And then I think, Death of Superman, 90s, stupid goggles, Superboy. Here, I'm kind of picturing, you could go with whatever one you want, but I'm kind of picturing it's Connor from Young Justice more than anybody else. You got Steel.
Yeah, that's where I would go with it.
Everybody's favorite Shaquille O'Neal character, Steel. John Henry Irons.
Kilo Steel, you know what I'm saying?
You got, Mon-El?
No.
So he's a character that they created to just basically be like, here's his like cousin, sort of. And they tried to make him a big deal, and he pops up every once in a while. But he's one of those characters that, like, you're never going to see him in a fucking movie. But they tried to milk the hell out of that character for years. And Jonathan Kent rounds out the team, his son, Superboy, that they've turned into Superman because they wanted to just age him up like 5 years at a time or something. I don't know. It was really weird. He went from like a baby to like a 14-year-old to like a 27-year-old or something. It's insane. And they don't have a team manager. They have a mascot. It's Crypto. He's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
I saw the test footage of James Gunn recording his dog and like doing the test CGI for Crypto. It's crazy how you could even just with like an iPhone or something like make that picture look so much better. But they're up against the Superman Revenge Squad. Do you remember that from the animated series? They're all like around the table and they stab the table. It's got the Superman logo.
Not that name in particular, but like this makes most sense to me where it's just like, okay, it's everybody who's, always wanted to, finally bring Superman to his knees. And
yeah, it's bad Supermans. So you got General Zod, you got Bizarro, who's literally the opposite clone for Connor, Superboy. You got Steel on the babyface team, so you have the Eradicator or Cyborg Superman. Either one of them works, and they're both on the team. And then, you could pick between one of those two if you want to put one of these other two in there, but it's either Ultraman, the mafia guy from another universe, or Superboy Prime. Superboy Prime is apparently like a babyface right now in the comics, which is weird because like that dude punched reality and like killed thousands of people and all this.
Well, didn't he also bring back Red Hood?
Yeah, but that was by accident. That's just because he punched reality, which is one of the dumbest fucking ideas I've ever heard in my life.
That's why that has since been retconned, because that's dumb.
Yeah. That's how he came back, though. He punched the walls of reality so things changed in the universe. And they're like, how about we just do Lazarus Pit? Non is also an option. One of the other Kryptonians from like the Christopher Reeve movie and all. Of course, their manager is Lex Luthor.
See, that's the one thing I think he should be inside and fighting.
See, the reason I don't have him on the inside and fighting is because I would have the Superman House of L team win. And I like the idea of Luthor being the type of manager that would be like, he kind of like walks out on them, like, fuck, you're going to lose me this. I'm going to leave.
See, but I think if this is your heaviest hitter, Luthor absolutely would want to get his hands on Superman.
Oh, he's the manager that interferes in the match. Yeah. He's Don Callis. That's what he is.
I mean, he is bald like Don Callis.
Yeah. Don Kal-El. Huh? Kal-El, no.
I don't ever do that again.
Batman, of course, you got the Bat Family. It's the easiest name you could go with.
I want you to read out loud what the tagline for this match is.
The tagline is na 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 na, because I couldn't think of anything else for a placeholder. But you got the Bat Family against the League of Assassins. Now, the Bat Family was, of course, the easiest group to work on. You got Bruce Wayne, Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and Damian Wayne. Batman, Robin, and Robin. Or Batman, Nightwing, Red Hood, whatever you want to call Tim Drake, because this is always going to be one of my things where Tim Drake should not be Red Robin.
Yum.
Exactly. And it's like, you just put Red in front of Robin. That doesn't make you a separate character. You need to be your own. And it's like, yeah, that's Red Hood is Red already. Nightwing, whatever. Kind of should be Red Wing, but then that's the Red Wings' team. So you got to figure out another team name or something. I will spoil something from the blueprint. I go by Flamebird with him. And there's reasons why it's a Nightwing reference. It's a whole lot of things. But Azrael was another person to swap in. And here's going to be the thing that I think is going to make people the most like confused. I don't have Joker on the opposite team.
I think it makes sense.
Because he's just not as much of a fighter, And it's a weird lineup, I'll admit. A team of Bane, Hush, Ra's al Ghul, either Owlman or Prometheus, and either Talon or Shrike. I would assume Shrike is one that you probably don't know, right?
Yeah, no, I've never heard that before.
He is essentially Nightwing's, like, for a little while, one of Nightwing's, like, main enemies. And he's, acrobatic assassin type. So I'm like, okay, well, that's a good Nightwing foil. But then there's Talon, and Talon is the whole Court of Owls thing. And I'm like, that could be Nightwing's foil. So I'm like, pick and choose. Red Hood, he's the shoot 'em up version of that. Give him Hush. And Hush is involved in the Red Hood story. Makes sense. Owlman, super smart. You saw the Crisis on Infinite Earths, or Crisis on Two Earths movie, right?
Oh.
The one that was, Owlman was voiced by James Woods.
Yes, I did see that. I
don't know if we fucking great.
Don't know if we watched that one together, but I know I did definitely see that. So I'm looking at this, and you have it labeled League of Assassins,
right?
But did you list these people by order of importance? Because
no,
Ra's al Ghul, I almost said Raish because cartoon.
Raish, Raz. I always say Rosh in my comics. So
Ra's al Ghul should probably be up top. I look at this and I say to myself, Batman is a tragedy, as is Hamlet, and Damian Wayne has to turn on the Bat family, right?
So I look at this match and I go, fuck, man, Bruce is probably going to lose.
Damian Wayne, it has to come down to some Bruce can probably actually, Survivor Series is not WarGames. Okay, so Bruce can probably get a couple of decent eliminations. I think it has to come down to Bruce and Damian and Dick against.
Red Hood and Tim Drake definitely are the first two to get eliminated on that. Yeah.
And it's against Bane and Raish or Raz. What you do is Dick gets eliminated by some sort of miscommunication with Damian. As he does in Injustice, he literally dies.
Right.
That leads to some dissension between father and son. They work together to get Bane out because he's a monster. And then when the time comes, Damian sticks the knife in Bruce. Because Batman's story is a tragedy.
And Jim Ross goes, "Why, Damian? Why?
That's your father.
You son of a bitch.
A boy shouldn't do that to his father."
See, I'm thinking an extra little element of that. Robin is in between Bruce and Raj, and he's like, who should I pick, kind of a thing, or whatever. And Talia comes out. And Talia is the reason that Damian ends up turning. So I always like the idea that he can look up to his grandfather and his father and his mom, but not to spoil something about the blueprint, but he will always hold a soft spot for Talia, because as much as he looks at her as this functional mother because she wasn't super duper loving, those little bits of loving things are few and far between from what Damian gets trained. I'm getting super deep into my Batman lore here, but I got a lot of psychological damage between characters in my stories. I try to the Blueprint Project, man.
There's too much here because Hush in the movie is Riddler, right? But Hush in the comic books
is working with Riddler, and he is just Tommy Elliott,
which is actually Thomas Wayne, the long lost brother of Bruce.
No, they're different characters.
So that's what am I thinking of?
Hush is Tommy Elliott, his childhood friend that becomes the surgeon.
Okay, what am I thinking of when I think of?
I think you're thinking of the one version of Owlman.
Okay.
Where he's Lincoln March. And he's like, "Oh, I'm your twin brother," and all that.
Now, I will say First of all, I love that the story plays itself to a Survivor Series match very well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And if you don't want to have Owlman, you could throw Prometheus in there too.
Now you also have like on the outside, or as alts, you have Mr. Freeze, Riddler, and Scorn.
Yeah, at first I was starting it off going, okay, well, which 5 Batman villains would make the most sense? It'd just be like his big heavy hitters. So I wrote down Joker, and then I wrote down like kind of pretty much everybody. But I was like, okay, well, there's Joker, there's Riddler, there's Ra's al Ghul, there's Bane, there's like Mr. Freeze. I would rank higher than Hush or Talon, and like, Penguin and whatever. And I'm like, of course, Penguin's not going to be on this group of fighters. But then I started to go, okay, well then we can play around a little bit. And then I tried to make like the anti-Batman group. So Scorn is like, Scorn and Prometheus are basically the same characters. I forget if it's Scorn or if it's Wrath. But Wrath and Scorn are Batman and Robin. They're just evil Batman and Robin. And there's Catman, and then Prometheus is like, you're aware of Prometheus too, right?
I want to say yes, but I'm not sure.
So they kind of like, this is why like these characters are like, you could just merge a lot of them, hit that urge to merge button. But like they all kind of have the same story where it's like, what if Bruce was not raised by good parents? So like Prometheus, I think, is the right one. That like his parents are criminals and they get killed by a cop. So he's like, oh, I'm going to stop cops now. It's basically the opposite idea. And somehow you're supposed to just ignore like, how does he have all this money and all that shit?
I like that, actually.
So I'm like, oh, that's a good like option for this team and stuff. But yeah, then I thought about like, well, what if I did like the Riddler's group? Like, who would he control? What if I did Joker or whatever? So I kind of look at it as like, if you want to throw Joker in there, Joker has to come in and cost Batman. Instead of doing like the Robin turn,
Joker might be there, but he's the X Factor. He's just the guy who, I guess in wrestling terms, because this is a wrestling podcast, like the first two of the first 3 Survivor Series have a bit with Bad News Brown where they kept putting him in these fucking tag matches, but he can't get along with anybody. So inevitably, he does end up accidentally hitting his partner and then leaving.
Right.
Joker could just, maybe he sticks a knife in Hush. Or whatever.
Yeah, just kind of, fuck you, this is my elimination. I'm the one who gets to eliminate Batman. Yeah, I've played around with that a little bit. And then, of course, you got to do what Trinity won. So you got to do Wonder Woman has her own group. Now, here's the problem with Wonder Woman. I very easily could have had Wonder Woman, Donna Troy, Cassandra Sandsmark, and like 2 of the other 50 versions of Wonder Woman that are out there. But who fucking cares? So instead, and then that's not to say like, who cares about Wonder Woman? It's just, well, the more that they dilute who Wonder Woman is, Wonder Woman's the special one. I don't fucking care about Donna Troy as much. And I don't care about Cassie as much as I care about Donna Troy. Like, it's just that they don't work that way. Hence why some other characters, are not super popular. But I thought, you know what? A group of like, let's say Wonder Woman is like Bianca Belair. She's going to need her Rhea Ripley, right? Oh, that's probably going to be Hawkgirl. And, they probably need their Becky Lynch. Oh, that's probably Mera from Aquaman. Oh, and they need, this big person that can be an anchor to the team or whatever. Oh, look at that. It's Big Barda. And you got Supergirl. So you got this team of like warrior, super strong type of characters. That's like the big heavy hitter 5, I think.
I would agree.
And Batgirl's not in that because Batgirl, of course, has Birds of Prey. We'll get into that in a minute. So you do the opposite. It's the same thing with the Superman thing. You try to go for like the anti-Wonder Woman characters. Superwoman, the one that's with Ultraman. You got Cheetah to offset Hawkgirl. You got Ursa or Feora. They're the fucking same character. I don't understand why they have been separate, but it's General Zod's number 2/wife. It's a brunette woman Kryptonian that works with Zod and was sent to the Phantom Zone. They're exactly the same fucking character. Just name her Feora Ursa or something.
Right.
Giganta, you remember her from the Justice League animated show? They got a
Hell
lot
yeah.
of Giganta in there. And I would assume that you don't know Grail.
Not off the top of my head now.
That is Darkseid's daughter.
Oh.
And she basically, here, I'll show you a picture. This is another, this is why I'm not going to show this on the screen because, you know, characters that are women in particular are drawn to just be like hot and whatever. She basically looks like if Darkseid was a woman that looked like Wonder Woman or something.
Very Bowsette.
I can see that.
Do you remember like when Bowsette
For some reason that was the thing.
Yeah, like this is very Bowsette.
Yeah. So like that's, you know, she's basically a Darkseid Wonder Woman. Which is like, it sounds kind of like cool. Never really got into her to know too much, but Granny Goodness is their manager, of course.
By the way, this is the stupidity that I think. As if this was a real thing. I'm like, oh, this could be a great chance to put her over. Like, what if she just wins?
But see, that's where I thought of those kind of things in some of those scenarios too, because I thought the same exact thing. This was one of the ones where I was like, if there's only like you have like the one sole survivor, I'm like, oh, Grail is either the sole survivor or she's the last one that Wonder Woman beats.
So if there's a sole survivor, it's Grail on the heels if the heels win, or it's Wonder Woman. If there's two survivors, I think Supergirl could survive with Wonder Woman. But I would also put Grail over, and like that there, you know, that can create you more story arcs. And why am I thinking this deeply about it?
Yeah.
It's not it. It's not.
See, that's why this became one of those topics where I sat down and I was like, oh, I can knock that out in 20 minutes. And ended up being like a 5-hour thing where I'm like, no. I think that a better mix is what it's like. Fuck me. Why am I going down this rabbit hole? That's why we have, there's 3 teams that spawned out of my Birds of Prey even. So you got Barbara Gordon, Batgirl. And again, you can go Stephanie Brown, spoiler. You can do Cassandra Cain, Orphan. You could do Huntress, which there's multiple versions of Huntress. You could do Black Canary. You could do Batwoman. I don't fucking like the Batwoman character. So I would not pick Batwoman. I am not overall the biggest fan of Huntress in a lot of ways. That's why they're kind of like pick one or the other. But you could also swap that with Carrie Kelly. Now, I don't really like Carrie Kelly. You could swap that character with Bluebird, who I don't really like. She's too brand new. Kind of like how you could technically throw Duke Thomas in like for like a Signal instead of Robin and whatever. I'm not used to the characters yet. But I was like, man, I wish if I had a sixth option, I'd throw Renee Montoya in there. I love Renee Montoya. She's such a cool character.
I do like Renee Montoya.
Now, I don't like her as the Question. To me, she doesn't like... It sucks that she doesn't read as the Question to me, because the Question has his own unique character, because I'm like, that would be such a cool... They should give her something like the Question, because she's such a cool character. But I kind of figure, you know, Black Canary, Batgirl, Orphan, spoiler, guarantees and stuff. You got to have them against the Gotham City Sirens. So 3 of them were the most easiest fucking picks. Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, and Catwoman. Because they're, of course, you go in that direction. And then I thought, play around a little bit. Throw Lady Shiva in there. And instead of Talia, what about Phantasm?
I like that. Because obviously I like Phantasm. See, here I honestly think I would have Catwoman, Harley, and Ivy potentially survive. And I would have Barbara Gordon go down as like the defiant hero who won't stay down but eventually it's too much. And I would maybe have Catwoman do the honors. And again, why am I thinking deeply about it? But yeah, like that's what I would do.
And I thought about another option of that is if I were to have taken Black Canary out of that, because I was like, Black Canary might go on to a different team. We'll talk about her later. If you swap Black Canary and you put Catwoman on the Birds of Prey instead of like Montoya or whatever, then you've got Lady Shiva, Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Phantasm, and you can swap in Talia there. You could put Red Claw. Do you remember her? The like anti-Catwoman from the animated series.
So, and I gotta get this in there because also a Fanboys podcast. One of my favorite things about that episode is Batman does the Moonraker. He looks at her and he goes, "A woman." It's so it's so good.
R.I.P. Kevin Conroy.
Really.
Copperhead, the female version, is also another one you could throw in there from like the Arkham games and stuff. But if you do that, if you make Catwoman one of the good ones, then you could also do that thing we were talking about with Damian. You could do the heel turn. And Catwoman's like, yeah, sorry, Bats, I'm going to screw you over, Barbara, and go with the heel team.
You know, I see here that for some of your alternatives, you've got Baby Doll, who absolutely should be somewhere on this fucking.
I was trying to make a team that would have been Baby Doll, Calendar Girl, and like any like facial model obsessed types. Like Calendar Girl's the whole gimmick is like, oh, I'm so ugly, and it's like, oh, you're beautiful, but you don't see yourself as being beautiful anymore. And Baby Doll being like, you know, everybody makes fun of me because I'm a little kid, or I appear like I'm like a little kid. And then I was like, I don't have 3 more examples that I really make sense and who they would go up against. But I was going to try to do the Mean Girls and everything that I always do.
So one that you could have is Ink from Batman Beyond.
Ink would have been a third one, yeah.
I'm trying to think. Batman villain. I'm trying to think of like a vanity.
Because Roxy Rocket isn't really. She's like an adrenaline junkie.
If Roxy Rocket's on this card, it's in like one of 3
that's TNA
matches, and it's the first batch. Like.
But there's also just not a whole lot of other characters. Like I didn't want to do a whole separate one like that and then have them against like Bluebird and Carrie Kelly and whatever, and just be like, okay, nobody really cares. I'm already going deep enough in the woods as it is with a lot of these other ones that we're going to get to. But yeah, I kind of lean more towards Gotham City Sirens winning. And
yeah,
most likely Catwoman at the very least is able to stick around. I think Harley probably gets eliminated.
I'm saying it should be all 3 of them. I think it should be Catwoman, Harley, and Poison Ivy.
I'm not opposed to that. Let's go Justice League Dark. We got a men's team and a women's team. The women's team is Zatanna, Vixen, Madame Xanadu, Raven, and then either Gypsy or Black Orchid. Now, before you ask, I don't even know much about Madame Xanadu or Black Orchid or Gypsy.
Now,
Vixen, I know from the TV show more than anything. Raven, of course, is Teen Titans, and Zatanna. Like, you know, if you're a DC fan, you know who Zatanna is.
So if this would be like a stipulation of like magic,
right? Because they're up against magic people. They're up against Cersei from Wonder Woman, Enchantress. If anybody's not sure, the Suicide Squad villain, Tala, who was with Gorilla Grodd in the Justice League Unlimited series. Morgan Le Fay, and Silver Banshee, the one that's like a shrieking demon woman, whatever the fuck, I don't
know.
So you could already rule out like Madame Xanadu is getting eliminated, Black Orchid's getting eliminated, that kind of thing. To me, this basically just comes down to Zatanna and Raven against Cersei and Enchantress as like the 2 demon characters, the 2 like bigger women's names or whatever. And I think the funniest way to go about it is Zatanna wins by just saying Potts.
I like that. I would, as a Teen Titans person myself, I'd probably say Raven overcomes a massive numbers disadvantage to win, but
She's
really
like, she has to, it's either Zatanna and Raven survive or Raven. But like Raven definitely does not get eliminated. She's too powerful.
I like it.
On the men's side, you got John Constantine, Deadman, Dr. Fate, Etrigan the Demon, and Swamp Thing. Pretty much the lineup that you normally would get. And then you mentioned this earlier, Felix Faust or Mr. Mxyzptlk. I would go Felix Faust more so because Mxyzptlk is far too powerful. You got Eclipso, Clarion, the Witch Boy, Mordru, and Necron. They're just basically like evil sorcerer types, except Necron is supposed to be like the personification of death, kind of.
Etrigan the Demon and Swamp Thing could be a tag team.
I can see that. The fire and plant.
Then there's like that Big Show Kane.
Yeah.
Kind of like they're the big guys that they could be the monster of the month, or you could just put them together and they could just wreck shit.
John Constantine's your tweener.
And I think he wins.
Yeah, Constantine wins.
Maybe Dr. Fate with him, but definitely Constantine.
See, it's funny how like some of the stuff just writes itself. You got the Green Lantern Corps, Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, John Stewart, Kyle Rayner, and then either Alan Scott or Simon Baz. Pick whichever you want. I don't like almost any of the characters. I'll be perfectly honest. Like Alan Scott, fucking dumb character. Not something I appreciate. Maybe I just haven't read the right stories. I don't know. But like, I would not have been a fan of Green Lantern back in the day when they're like, he looks like he's wearing a red sweatshirt with a Green Lantern printed on it. Like he got that from fucking Etsy. And he's vulnerable to wood. when most things are wood at that time frame, you know?
Really?
Yeah, it's just not a character that I love. And then when they tried to retcon him and it's like, we bring him in, but he's also Green Lantern instead of something else. But it doesn't work. And Simon Baz, gimmicky stuff. They throw in Kilowog in there and I'd be happier. You know what I mean? John Stewart, fun potential character. Hal Jordan, cool. Guy Gardner's fun in Superman the movie. Kyle Rayner, I like Kyle. But they could all be merged into one character very easily. That's just my soapbox. But I love the other Lantern Ring ideas. Jeff Johns creating this whole thing of like, well, why isn't there like Sinestro's got the yellow ring? Why doesn't he have a core? And then it was like, oh yeah, why don't we do Atrocitus is the Red Lantern one for Rage, and Arkillo is a Yellow Lantern, and Larfleeze. Do you know Larfleeze actually?
No.
So Larfleeze is a cool character. Power Ring is the evil Green Lantern, by the way, from another Earth 2 or whatever. Not Earth 2, Earth 3 is the other one. Never mind. Larfleeze is the one and only Orange Lantern guy.
Oh, very interesting.
Out of an entire core, that one's the greed one. So he doesn't let anybody else be Orange Lantern. Because he's too greedy. Why would he give a portion of the power away? He's the epitome of greed. And I don't remember it offhand, but you know how like the oath for Green Lantern is like, in blackest day and darkest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light. Basically just being like, I'll fight against bad people. They all have oaths. And like the Yellow Lanterns, like Sinestro and stuff, are about fear. So it's like their oath is about fear. And the Rage one is about like anger or whatever. The Orange Lanterns one is, this is my power, this is my might. I stand alone in the darkest night. With this ring, my foes I smite. Where is it on the rest of this? Oh, I'm reading the wrong thing. I'm just being stupid here. It's what's mine is mine, it's mine and mine, and mine and mine and mine, not yours.
I love that. It's like a toddler.
Just, you're the epitome of greed, and you're like, gimme. Green Lantern Corps have to win. They're the willpower team.
I almost like the visual of that's your one clean sweep.
I could see that being the case. I could also see if it comes down to like Hal and John or just John or whatever guy. You could eliminate Guy potentially, but no matter what, the willpower team has to win because they have the will to not tap out. And you can maybe eliminate Alan Scott because he doesn't have it based off willpower. He's just
No, we gotta go full clean sweep.
Well, then throw Simon Baz in there instead of Alan Scott.
And then they all do the ring.
Yeah,
Guy, and they create like a
four corners of the ring and somebody in the middle. Yeah,
a giant victory symbol, and I like it.
So they beat the Manhunters, named after another villain thing. You got to have a Team Flash one. Barry Allen, Wally West, Bart Allen, Jay Garrick, and Max Mercury against the Reverse Flashes. So Eobard Thawne, Zoom, Savitar, Godspeed, Johnny Quick, or Inertia. It's good Flashes against bad Flashes. And Barry has to be the second to last eliminated, I think.
Well, who's winning?
I think we got to go Wally. Because Wally is faster.
I can live with that.
And I think Barry gets eliminated by something Eobard Thawne does, because Thawne is the most fucking petty villain in like any thing I've ever seen. You ever go down a Wikipedia list or whatever of what Eobard Thawne does to Barry?
I never have, no.
Do you know like the basics?
Did
you see like the Flash movie? Or he's not really in the Flash movie.
I know enough about some of the things that Barry has to deal with, but I don't know how much of that is all based on him.
So he is, in the future, he's a really big super fan of Barry, like total fanboy. And he wants to be like the Flash, and he eventually gets like dissed by Barry and spends multiple timelines trying to just ruin his life. Like so he goes overboard to an absurd level. Like he pushes his grandmom down the steps or something in the past. But he's the reason that he goes back in time and he kills Barry's mom and frames Barry's dad. Because in the original timeline, the theory is, Barry probably had both of his parents, and Thawne came back, killed his mom, set up his dad. So, your mom's dead, your dad's in jail for it.
Right.
And that's not enough. He keeps going back. So he keeps like pushing him off of like his bike, and like he fucks up one of his baseball games as a kid. Like he just continues to reset the entire timeline just to be an asshole to Barry.
That's terrible.
It's like fucking The Miz or somebody. Like he's such a cool character.
But so I also know that's absolutely your bag.
Oh, fucking Eobard Thawne is great. So, but he has to lose. That's the whole point, is he constantly loses. And every time he loses, he goes back in time and he's like, all right, well now I'm going to kill your dog. now you don't. He, I forget how he does it, but he makes sure that Barry doesn't have any friends growing up. And I think it's something like every time in the timeline Barry makes a new friend, he kills the friend. So it's God. Like, kill your friends before they're even born or whatever. So you just don't have any friends because fuck you, you little 6-year-old. Like, he's a fucking terrible piece of shit. He's like arguably worse than a lot of Batman villains. He's great. But Wally's the fastest. So, gotta go Wally. I also tried to get like an energy-based thing going on. And I made 2 teams out of that. One of them is on the babyface side, you got Jessica Cruz, Green Lantern, Fire and Ice, Rocket, and Dr. Light. Again, Star Sapphire, Killer Frost, Volcana, Bleeze, and Livewire. Some of them you're familiar with. Livewire and Volcana on the Superman animated series.
Absolutely.
Star Sapphire's, another Lantern Corps. She's Hal Jordan's love interest. She's good. She's bad. She's bad more than good, I would say. So it's a Green Lantern against the Violet ones, and this one's one of those ones like, who fucking cares? I'll be honest. Like now we're getting into the stories where it's like, I didn't really book these.
That Jessica Cruz could possibly win because we were talking about merging her as like the one true Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm. She's got the willpower, so it makes sense to me. I think Fire and Ice have to get eliminated. They're definitely a tag team. And like Volcana and Killer Frost and all, like they can't match up. So it's probably Jessica Cruz. On the men's energy group section, whatever you want to call them, you got Captain Atom, Black Lightning, Firestorm, Vibe, and the Ray against Major Force, Arthur Light, real piece of shit, Icicle, Dr. Polaris, and Neutron. I would assume half of these are names that are meaningless.
For the most part, yeah, I would agree with that.
And it really comes down to me. It's like, Firestorm's really powerful. And Captain Atom's really fucking powerful. So I'm going to go with those 2.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. And again, this is one of the ones where I'm like, don't have as big of a dog in the fight.
Right. Now, the tech team one, you got Ted Cord, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold. They got to be a tag team. Mr. Terrific, everybody's new favorite fascination after the Superman movie. Cyborg, everybody knows him from Teen Titans. And then Red Tornado against Red Volcano, the bad Red Tornado. Grid, Amazo, Supernova, and Omac were Brother Eye. You got Professor Ivo and you got Tio Morrow as some managers on the outside, whatever. This, to me, is going to Amazo.
I think that's fair.
If the whole gimmick is he can adapt to whatever powers and stuff, he can adapt to the tech, I would assume. If he can't, then I would assume it goes to Cyborg.
I think that's fair, because I think Cyborg could definitely be someone who can stand tall on his own.
Mother Box is a foreign object. We got the teams for the Green Arrow type squad. So you got Artemis or Tigress from Young Justice, Arrowette, either Arrowette 2 or you got the Huntress. If you picked Huntress earlier, you can't, obviously. You got Speedy and Red Arrow against, I don't actually know the full team because I couldn't figure this one out. So Cheshire, yeah. Cupid, yeah. Shadow, sure. And there aren't any other people that make any sense. So I was like, I don't know, Copperhead and Firefly. Whatever. Who cares? That's a skip one.
I would say, and it's mostly just a showcase for Cyborg. How about Blue Beetle?
You're talking about the other one. I'm talking about the Arrow one.
See, but with the Arrow one, since you basically have the people set in, even though you put question marks next to them, this is mostly just again, the Arrows are going to take it, and
it's a pre-show match.
Yeah,
nobody cares about that one.
Sorry, women, you don't deserve to be the.
That's just like DC. You need to make some more characters,
Like, I'm sorry. It's very clear to me that if this was real, you'd be the pre-show matches. We'll work on you, women. You deserve better.
Green Arrow himself doesn't have enough people. You could do Green Arrow and Arsenal and a couple other people, but then it's just the same thing. And I was like, I'm going to spice it up a little bit. So I'll throw in with Oliver Queen, either Rick Flag or Peacemaker. Peacemaker people know now. you know?
Yeah.
You got the Question or Wildcat. You got Vigilante from Peacemaker. There's like 7 versions of Vigilante, and that's the funniest and best. And Jonah Hex. You got Bronze Tiger. You got Arsenal, like I mentioned. You could throw in, the John from the Arrow TV show. You could throw in whatever. But the more fun team, I think, is Deathstroke, Deadshot, Sportsmaster, Merlin, and Captain Boomerang. That's a fucking fun crew.
And because of that, the babyfaces cannot win.
No, they gotta lose. Deathstroke has to be the last one.
I was gonna say, I think at the very least he has to stand tall. Maybe he can have someone with like Deadshot could maybe be with him.
Yeah, he'd have to be number 2. But like you can eliminate Merlin, you can eliminate Sportsmaster, you can take out Captain Boomerang, but you're not taking out Deathstroke.
No.
I couldn't. I struggled a lot actually with the Teen Titans because I use people elsewhere. So I don't know if Tigress would be used in the other one. Count her. Then if not, throw in another person. But you got Starfire, Miss Martian, Stargirl, and Bumblebee against. There's Cheshire again. So it's like replace her. I don't know. Terra, Blackfire, Rose Wilson, and Queen Bee. I mostly go Miss Martian.
I have a soft spot for Starfire, but yeah, the babyface girls can take this one.
I can see Starfire lasting too. Yeah, let's go with her. The Captain Marvel type crew. Did you ever see the Shazam movies?
Yes. I believe I watched one with you.
We might have done the second one as a
We watched one for sure.
So the kids in there. You got Billy, Freddy, Pedro, Eugene, and then the Wizard. Okay, there you go. And here's where that character blows. They have no fucking good villains. They've got Black Adam.
They do have The Rock, though.
So it's like we do have The Rock on this team, and we have John Cena on another team. So there you go. It's more pro wrestling, everybody. And Bane has a luchador mask.
And he was played by Sweet Henson in the
Cheap Swenson, yeah.
And what did I say? Sweet Henson?
Sweet Henson. Yeah.
Hey.
Hate Vanson. So apparently some other Black Adam characters that I guess would make the most sense because like one of his main villains is a fucking caterpillar. And I can't have a caterpillar on the other team. So here's a bunch of names that are like, they mean nothing. Sabak is the villain of Black Adam. Ibak is a character. Ogar is one. King Cole is another. They all mean nothing. And I apparently came across something I was not aware of. One of the main villains of the Shazam story is named Captain Nazi.
Well, that's because
he's back in the 30s. And
yeah, like that's just one of those things where you had to kill the Nazis, and
right, which like it should still be a thing today. People forgot somehow that they're the bad guys.
I would argue that it shouldn't because they shouldn't exist. But
they should have learned back in they should have taken out Captain Nazi, and they shouldn't be around anymore. Yeah. So obviously that team cannot possibly win.
I cannot see a path forward for them.
Not at all. In the long and short of it, you are going to lose no matter what, you fucking assholes. Kind of on the same Shazam wavelength, but hey, I said before, like I didn't want to do the Wonder Woman group, and there's not enough for the Shazam group, and there's not enough for the Superman group on their own. So you merge all three. You have 2 Wonder Womans, you have another version of Supergirl, and you have the 2 from the Shazam females. So Donna Troy, Cassandra Sandmark, Power Girl, Mary Marvel, and Darla Dudley against. And then you throw out the people that aren't a big enough character to go against the big ones. So Mongal is the female Mongol. She died super fast in the Suicide Squad. She's like that orange alien at the beginning that jumps on the helicopter and gets blown up. And then characters nobody knows. If I say Rampage, nobody knows Rampage. Yeah, if you would have said to me, who's Rampage, I'd be like, I don't remember. And then when I looked up the character, I went, oh, I've seen that in a couple animated things. It's a monstrous looking woman. Maxima's the
Yeah.
one that wanted to marry Superman. Knockout's just a fucking female Fury. Like, yeah, it's whatever. Then the baby faces win.
Yeah, I couldn't. This is one match I don't have an opinion on whatsoever because I don't know enough about any of the participants.
And I'm going to just say Mary Marvel wins more than anybody because Mary's like a halfway decent character sometimes. And the last two that I've got, this one is the Morph match I wrote down because that's a placeholder name. I wanted to go with people that had like body weird things going on. So you got Plastic Man, Elongated Man, Metamorpho, Beast Boy, who can change into different animals, and then either the Atom or Atom Smasher. And I say either one because it should be one character. Because there's like 3 different atoms and there's like 2 different Atom Smashers.
We're merging, we're morphing. I like where we're going.
Why have a character called the Atom that can shrink and then a character called the Atom Smasher that can grow? And they have basically almost the same outfit. It should just be the Atom Smasher, and he can grow and shrink. Fuck you, it's Ant-Man, I don't care. And this was surprisingly hard to go with. Like, they don't have any like evil stretchy guys or evil like metamorpho types. So Clayface works, Parasite works, Dr. Phosphorus, Blight, basically the same character. Chemo is another one. Atomic Skull is another one I forgot to write down there. It should be Chemo/Atomic Skull. And either Rubberneck or Ragdoll. And it really comes down to a draw to me. Plastic Man and Parasite. It depends on how you write the character. Either one of them can be damn near unstoppable.
See, there's so much to this match because
you got Clay, you got Beasts.
Yeah, Beast Boy can transform into anything. Clayface can like. You ever see that episode of the animated series where there's like a little girl that it just is Clay like ugh.
Yeah, like the little chunk of clay that junked off and then thought that it was a little girl and then dies. And
Now, before I will concede to you on a Plastic Man and Parasite. I'd probably go heels just because I think Clayface's squad. And they'd probably be, what would they be, like the drama team? It'd be something pretentious because Clayface just wanted to be acting.
That is the best version of Clayface. Like Basil Carlo, actor, I grew up with the Matt Hagen name, but same idea. Now, curious how that movie's going to go. Yeah.
There's some people missing from this card.
Well, you do have... You've got I couldn't figure out the Teen Titans men. Like I had like Static Shock and I had Aqualad and whatever. But there's also another group of Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, Hawkman, Orion, and Icon against Despero, Ocean Master, Mongol, the male, the main one, Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday, and Lobo. So like big hulking monster types or, Aquaman and Ocean Master have their opposites. And I don't know if you go the main man, Lobo wins. I don't know if you go Mongol wins because it's War World, or if you go man, how OP is Martian Manhunter.
I might go how OP is Martian Manhunter.
Because he's fucking powerful. Like that character.
I like the idea of Solomon Grundy just being the de facto, not meant to rhyme, but here we go, King Kong Bundy. Like
Solomon Grundy, the King Kong Bundy.
Where it's like he's just a hulking monster who, like, he's gonna squash Hawkman on the outside. He hits his head on a post, and then so is the end of Solomon Grundy. Like, he's just got that. Like, I see this as very like lower card opening
Yep.
level guys.
This
So
is
that's great.
the if back in like Survivor Series, this isn't the Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and whatever match. This is the um Big Boss Man teams with Hacksaw Jim Duggan and whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
Rick
And
Martel, if he's a good guy then. If not, he's on the heel team.
for the record, I think you matched up these people very nicely. Couple people I'm very surprised that you have not. Where's Mr. Freeze?
I mentioned he was on
But he was on the outside. Like he's
the version of that I was like playing around with for that. Yeah.
Yeah, but like you've got I mean, you had Icicle in the energy match. You could have done Icicle, Freeze, Captain Cold.
Thought about it.
Like
Thought about having those and
it's the
Heat Wave and I also didn't want to do intergender.
because you know what I'm thinking, right? For those of you who are wrestling fans, like at the first, what is it, 3 or 4 Survivor Series where it's just Vince going, and you've got uh, gods and monsters, Martian Manhunter. You just
Yeah,
flash
it's
the picture.
Power and Glory, and it's the Barbarians.
It's the Ultimate Warriors and the perfect. I'm trying to think of that, and I think Mr. Freeze, Captain Cold,
Icicle Junior, and whoever the other Freeze one would be. I don't know.
like the
Dr.
Abominable
Zero.
Snowman.
There you go.
So that they're somewhere like there, and I think that would be so much fun to have like the Heart of Ice team, or
But then it's like who do they go up against? Because you go like, okay, Firestorm, but then like there aren't 4 other fire guys. That's where like that all kind of like, because I started trying to do those.
That's unfortunate because I would have loved to have fire versus ice.
That was like where I tried to do the whole anti-Batman thing. So it was like Prometheus, Scorn, Wrath, Catman, and I forget who the other one was because I was like, I don't want to put the Batman on there because that's a character. Like he has a bat. And it's like Kite Man. Or not Kite Man. Killer Moth was the other one. Because Killer Moth basically started out as anti-Batman as well. That's a character that they could do something fun with in a movie. Just saying.
You've got all the ideas. Hire him.
So the last thing that I wanted to play around with, I had a team that I was like, what if you just go, okay, there's WarGames. You can only have one men's team and you can only have one women's team. There's no theme. You just pick the fucking 5 baby phases and whatever. Basically what they do now. Because that's a group when you start getting into, okay, that's where you can throw in Darkseid, Doomsday, Trigon, Brainiac. So
Dr. Manhattan's a good one.
Dr. Manhattan I have on there. I forgot that I switched these. Brainiac should be in the group and Vandal Savage should be on the outside as the manager. As like your Legion of Doom. And then you go, okay, well then who's the Justice League? So if you can pick from the people that were before, because I mean, let's face it, you can't have better characters at that point. That's where you go. Superman's obviously one of them. And you want to keep it men and men. So you got to throw Batman in there. And I'm like, okay, Batman, maybe to offset Brainiac. But man, Dr. Manhattan, Doomsday, and Trigon, Flash and Green Lantern and Aquaman are not fucking beating those guys. Because that's probably your 5, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Unless you swap Aquaman for Martian Manhunter.
I think I would go with the name value of Aquaman.
I would say like more people would know Aquaman. So you go like Green Lantern, Batman, whatever, Aquaman / Martian, Manhunter, and like they're getting their asses beat because Dr. Manhattan can beat pretty much any of them. Doomsday's Doomsday. He's fucking Doomsday. Brainiac already is like Brainiac could put up a fight against all 5 of them. Trigon is fucking one of the most ridiculously overpowered characters that you've got. And then you got Darkseid. That they literally have an entire whole universe built around him at this point. But Superman's on the other team.
I see what you're saying.
And at the end of the day, Superman's Superman. And shouldn't the last, everything just come down to, and then Superman wins?
I would make the argument that Batman has to win with him because he's smart enough to always have a contingency plan, so Batman has to win too.
I'm not going to argue that because Batman's my favorite character in anything that's ever existed. So.
I would also be aware of the Flash being like, I'm going to just reset time.
Flash is that, what was that one year where it was like Dolph Ziggler was like the guy holding down the entire Survivor Series team? And it was like, he was like the 3rd most important person or something. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm trying to think. Maybe?
Was that the one where it was like Team Cena? And it was like Ziggler was the guy that was like winning for Team Cena?
Oh, you're thinking of when they beat the Authority? And even though it's built around Cena, like Ziggler beats 3 people.
Right.
Sting helps him, but he beats 3 people.
Like Flash would be the type of guy where you'd be like, Flash is going to get eliminated. And then you're like, oh shit, Flash took out fucking Dr. Manhattan or something. Or then Doomsday like swats him away or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I almost like the heel side is so overpowered, but again, world's finest duo ends the night. You ever see Survivor Series 90? Have you ever watched that?
Of course I have. Yeah.
You watched it where it's just
I couldn't tell you who's in it, but I know that I've seen it.
Of course it's Hogan and Warrior posing in the end. That's kind of what I would assume would happen here.
I always feel like if you're going to tell one end story of like DC and one end story of Marvel and whatever, like it should ultimately come down to Superman, even more than Batman, I think. But like Superman at the end of the day is going to be the reason why they survive. And when it comes to Marvel, I tend to go more like, you could try to make an argument for a lot of characters because there's no like one main true central character, but it's like, it's kind of Spider-Man. And you can kill off Spider-Man, but I think only if you go with either Captain America is the last one or Franklin Richards. And that's like starting to go deeper cut. But
I think baseline, you have to say Spidey.
Because like you're not going to end, Thanos is destroying the whole thing, or Doctor Doom is God Emperor Doom, and you're not going to end it with like Cyclops. It's like, I love Cyclops, but he's not the central character.
Right.
And the Source Wall and all that other kind of stuff. Like if any character is going to go in and come back out, it's going to be Superman. So I go Babyface is winning that.
Obviously.
And that's essentially Survivor Series DC because of the AEW thing.
And I mean, again, really good. I wish I knew more. Like this inspires me to go and find more about these characters.
Best thing to do is always to just watch those TV shows and just do like Wikipedia dives. And
I will say, like Comics Explained.
Rob's fucking insane like with how much he knows.
Channel. And they tell such good stories. But yeah, this was fun. I like seeing you in your element. Again, I was mostly Just like you can tell when I'm into something because like I can give you a full finish for the Bat Family match,
Right.
but I love seeing you in your element. I would love to do more of this. I think I'd like to see like what this looks like from a Marvel perspective.
I might end
I'd
up
like,
having to do that. Just out of my
I'd
own
like to see
curiosity, I'll
that.
sit there going, okay, well, Peter and Miles, and does he team up with Venom or does he fight Venom? If he teams up with Venom, then Carnage is definitely on the other team. Like,
Right, it would be like Carnage, uh, Goblin.
probably Doc Ock, and
You get a Prowler in there for Miles.
maybe like you throw in Null or somebody, or like
You know what you can do now. You know
not
what you can do.
Moreland.
You know what you can do the spot,
You could throw the spot in there, and if you don't want to do Prowler, and then you could do
and
I don't know,
then you punch.
Craven or somebody, like, you know. But yeah, it's like, yeah, I could go down that rabbit hole too. If you
Obviously, you have
enjoy,
the ready-made match with the X-Men and the Brotherhood of Mutants.
yeah, I mean, that's Professor X is on the outside. He's the manager. He's not fighting. Yeah, you got Wolverine. You got Cyclops. You got your female X-Men group. So you got your Storm, Rogue, Jean Grey.
By the way, you know you stick on the outside opposite Xavier, not Magneto because Magneto gets in the match, but Toad because his mind is so weak that you could do a spot outside where Charles fucks with him. I can't like gotta think too hard about it.
Maybe you have like one of the spots is like Morph, and he's the one that gets attacked before the match, so they're down 5-4.
God, Morph can't catch a fucking break
Since he dies in the first episode. He's brought back. It's fine.
You got the X girls that you can have like you with Jubilee and Rogue and Storm and Jean and Psylocke.
Yeah, Psylocke or Kitty Pryde or Emma Frost, maybe. Or you can throw him on the heel team. The heel team's got Mystique, obviously. Yeah, it's like we could do that for fucking forever. And if you want more of this kind of stuff, of course, the best way to do that is to share your support and to do so on fanboysanonymous.com in particular, because obviously if you leave a comment on Smark Moment, you let me know that you're interested in this stuff. That's some way for me to know. But if you actually head over to the geek culture section of the whole thing, then that's where you find fan tracks, and that's where you find the Blueprint Project stuff. If you don't know what the Blueprint Project is, check out that stuff on Fanboys Anonymous. I am not just patting myself in the back when I say I work on that Power Rangers blueprint so much, and you have no idea how much deeper and ridiculously complicated I've made the Power Rangers mythos to the point that I spent, I don't know, an hour and a half yesterday figuring out like writers' methods of doppelgangers in psychology for fucking Dark Jason. Like, you know, I've lost my mind. So
I love it.
If you're cool with me having lost my mind, and you know you want to check out more of the things that you can see like on your screen right now with this whole big setup that we just did, share support. Let me know. And do that for everything that you find on the link tree at megatree.com. But when you're following my stuff, make sure you're following Rob too.
Yep, you can follow me everywhere at Dude Felice on the socials, and just stay underneath the mango tree because that's where I'm at. And you can stay tuned for January when we eventually do our James Bond Royal Rumble.
Okay, so immediately my brain goes, well, who would be in James Bond's team? Okay, well, Felix Leiter's one of them.
No. You see, that's why I said James Bond Royal Rumble. Because what you do is Bond starts the Royal Rumble, and then you just throw henchmen and villains at him, and you see how long he can survive. It's
Or
the
does
Wonder
Bond come
12.
out at entry number 007?
Well, you would like that, but how do you get to 6 spots in a Bond-themed Royal Rumble without having Bond?
I mean, technically you got 001, 002, 003. You could do that. Don't test my I could go how many people, like, you gotta keep Felix a little bit later on, but like how many of the henchmen do end up dying, like VJ and Octopussy or Saunders in Living Daylights. You can't throw them out there. You could always have number 1 is Sharky, and then number 2, by the time you come out there, they eliminate him, and it's like, oh, his name really was Sharky.
With this one, you avoided intergender. I think with Bond, you almost have to, because like Bond is not against fighting women.
It's not the what's the TNA one that they have, the call your shot gauntlet or whatever. Yeah. Bond's going ahead and winning that, and Fiona Volpe comes out, or Xenia starts strangling him.
Mayday.
Yeah, Mayday. Final 4, maybe. I don't know. I could do this fucking thing. I really could. I could sit there and fantasy book that. Don't tickle the tism.
Oh my god. Well,
because clearly that's me getting into my, hyperfixations.
Tickled my Tchaikovsky. All right. And this thing before we go any further.
Alrighty. Well, if you enjoy this kind of stuff, then you would also enjoy the Hot Tags podcast, because this was essentially a Hot Tags at the main event. And, if you're in the boat of, holy shit, I did not want to listen to an hour and 15 minutes worth of comic book stuff on this pro wrestling channel, we're going to have the Hot Tags coming your way next. So stay tuned for that instead. Thank you for indulging me. Thank you for joining and listening and everything like that. And we will see you next time. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment, and we are being counted out.